Now, what you're about to see is some exclusive content straight from the Patreon vault. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner, you're at an intermediate level, or you're more advanced. We got content for every level of development. And it doesn't matter what you need help with: melodies, flows, lyrics, songwriting, choruses, imagery, your image. We got it all in the Patreon. And there are tiers as low as $1 and $5. I'll see you there. Link in the description. What's going on out there, artists? It's your boy Coach, back with another video, another fundamental video, but it's going to be super useful no matter if you're new or you've been doing this for a long time. Today I want to talk about contrast, and I feel like contrast is, if not the most important, one of the most important concepts in making music and songwriting. All right, because I don't want you guys to just be good rappers. I want you guys to be good artists and good songwriters, because being a good songwriter and being good at songcraft is going to make people want to come back to the music. It's going to fuck with people's emotions. It's going to give people dopamine hits. It's going to create a person's favorite part of the song. It's going to give the music purpose. All right, and the reason why I say it's going to give the music purpose is because songs need a push and pull. It needs a night and day. It needs a give and take. It needs attention and release. The reason why this is super important is because it gives the music momentum. It gives the music movement. It turns something that's just a flat line into something that's a wave. All right. And that wave can take the listener on a roller coaster of emotion. And if you can do this in your music, you're already, a step ahead of most rappers, because you're creating songs that have a purpose. All right. Now, when I say purpose, I don't mean you got to have some deep fucking meaning. I don't mean it's got to have some fucking ending to the story or something like that. I just mean it feels like the song is doing something. It feels like the song is going somewhere. All right. Contrast is super important because a listener, whether you know it or not, they're subconsciously, as they're listening, they're expecting a change. When we're doing a musical idea like a flow or a melody or a tone or a rhythm for so long, the listener anticipates a change. And when we don't deliver on that change, they can tune out of the song. Their mind can wander. They can pick up their phone or whatever, because music needs a purpose. It needs movement. It needs to feel like it's going somewhere. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a chorus or introduce a musical idea to you. And I'm going to start on the one. And then I'm going to go away from that. And then I'm going to come back to the original flow or melody that I did at first. And what it's going to do is it's going to give this thing that I'm doing some sort of movement, some sort of direction. Now, when I establish this first musical idea, this first melody or flow, whatever I come up with, you got to understand the journey or the process that the listener's mind goes to. When we establish this first pattern, this first flow, the chorus, whatever, we introduce this musical idea to the listener. Okay, they're into it. And then when we go away from that, what we're doing is we're building tension, because it's like, oh man, and this is all happening subconsciously in their mind. They're like, oh man, I was hearing this one thing and then he went away from it. Now let me see where he's going with that. And so as we're going on to the second flow or the second melody, or we're going from the chorus to the verse, the listener is vibing with it. Then what happens is eventually they get tired of that. Eventually they're wondering, where's that first thing that I heard? Where's that first main idea that I heard? And so that's the tension part. And then when we finally come back with that first idea, that first flow, first chorus, whatever you want, whatever it may be, we release that tension. And that is the purpose I'm talking about. It takes the listener on a journey. I show you something, then I take it away. And when I take it away, they're wondering if it's going to come back, when it's coming back. That's the anticipation that keeps the listener holding on. That's the momentum that keeps the listener holding on. And then when we bring it back, we create an emotional release because it's there it goes. See, that's the power that a good songwriter has, is that they can control the listener's subconscious. They can control the listener's emotions by just introducing a musical idea, whether that be a tone, a melody, a flow, a rhythm, and then taking it away and bringing it back. All right. So let's do this. Mac, drinking on the water, hot the bottle when it's tasty. She gotta find some thunder, she gotta wait, please. I'm on the bonds and bonds up on the Macy's. I'm stepping clean, I'm feeling like in the Stacy's. I've been outside with the homies, and it's not finna stop, but you know me. If you wanna get done, send the doughy. I be run by myself, I be thoroughly. Yeah, I've been outside with the homies getting faded. I've been outside when I'm rolling with the tube. I've been outside with the homies getting faded. Who you know got a sunstorm with the crew. Now, how you guys can practice this is, and this is how I used to practice this back in the day. You know, I told this story all the time. You know, on the way from work, it was an hour drive in traffic. You know, to and from. And so what I just do, I just turn on a YouTube beat playlist, right? YouTube type beat playlist. And I would practice on creating contrast. I would come up with a flow, or come up with a melody for 4 bars, and then the next 4 bars immediately try to do something totally different. I would, you know, whether if I was doing one tone, and then I switch it to a melody, or I switch it to a different flow, a faster flow, whatever. It's a bunch of different ways you could do it. But the most important thing is training your brain to hear contrast, training your brain to see what it feels like to go away. What's up, artists? It's your boy Coach, back with another video, and today we're going to get into part 2 of the 2026 Rapper Blueprint by talking about subject matter. Now, the reason why this is super important for 2026 and beyond is because as rappers, we are competing with podcasts, we're competing with YouTube, we're competing with Netflix, we're competing with all of this different content that's out there for a consumer to consume. And so what's important for artists is that you represent some sort of feeling or some sort of mood, because a podcast, sometimes a YouTube video, a movie cannot put a listener into a certain mood. Or when a listener is feeling something, they tend to go to the music part of content instead of a movie or Netflix. And so it's going to be super important that you figure out what your subject matter is. I know for me, whenever I go to Spotify and turn on some music, it has to do with the feeling or the mood that I want to experience or that I'm going through. Usually for me, I'm always listening to music on the way to work or during work. And that shapes what type of music or what type of artist I want to listen to. The 2 artists, well, really the 3 artists that I've been listening to more than anything these past couple of months is Babyface Ray, Lil Bean, and Boston Richie. And I'm going to get into the reason for that. But before I do that, I want to explain to you guys the importance of finding your subject matter now and how to find that. All right. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Point 1. Core subjects equals resonance plus brand identity. Most successful rappers keep their music centered around a small core of subjects, usually 3 to 5 themes. That consistency is exactly why listeners connect. When the subjects in the music line up with what a listener is living or feeling, the music becomes personal. So say for instance, you getting ready for a date night, right? You just going to meet this chick, you know, for the first time, and y'all gonna kick it, y'all gonna go somewhere, whatever. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna put on some music that puts you into that mood of going to kick it with that girl and, you know, whatever. If you're an artist trying to build a fan base, the smartest thing you can do is identify the main topics you actually have depth on and stay within that lane. Focused subject matter lets people understand who you are, and it gives them a reason to keep coming back to you instead of a random playlist. Point 2, subject matter is the bridge between the artist and the audience. Listeners don't just like songs, they identify with them. And that's why I say, man, when I'm on the way to work, I go listen to Babyface Ray because Babyface Ray he talking about grinding. He talking about coming up from nothing, making it on your own. And so it puts me into that mood. When a rapper talks about themes that reflect a fan's world, whether it be pain, ambition, love, betrayal, struggle, celebration, it hits deeper. They're able to connect to you on a deeper level. This is super important because if you're just talking about random stuff, then you're not going to connect with that listener on a deeper level because it doesn't feel like you understand them. It doesn't feel like you resonate with where they're at in their life. And, you know, where they're at in their life, they may be at a point where, like me, I want to be wealthy. I want to be rich. And so I want to listen to artists that kind of speak that are the soundtrack to that. The subject matter becomes a mirror. Fans hear their own life in the bars. That's the emotional glue that keeps people attached to an artist long term. If your music does not have clear themes, there's nothing for the audience to hold on to. They won't know who you are, and you'll blend in with every rapper chasing trends. Point 3, you can't fake what you don't live. You can't just pick a subject. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to be this rich luxury rock star rapper if that's not something you identify with. You can't pick a subject you've never experienced and expect listeners to feel it. When you talk about a lifestyle you don't understand, the writing gets vague, surface level, and generic. People respond to detail, real emotions, real memories, and real specifics. When an artist speaks from their own reality, the music has texture and authenticity. When they try to rap about something they've never lived or never studied deeply, it sounds like a copy of somebody else's story. And this reminds me of Lord Knows from Take Care by Drake. When he talks about when a girl goes to the bathroom, he goes through her phone to see what she on because, you know, he's been in situations where girls have set him up. Now, you know, you take Drake, he's a successful rapper. He was on top at the time, but he still showed that insecurity of somebody going through another chick's phone. That's real. That's close to his life. And that's why we felt it. That's why we connected with him. Well, one of the reasons. For artists, choose subject matter that's close to your real life, that gives you endless material without forcing you to pretend. All right. Now, I'm not saying you can't exaggerate some things and you can't add some sauce on it, but the core of it needs to come from a real place. For example, you may want to find love and you may believe in love, and that core subject of wanting to find love and believe in love, you can directly relate that to your life. You can pull so much from that because if you truly believe in love, you can talk about things that you've experienced, the girls that you may have fell for, and then later on seeing that she wasn't really what you was on and it kind of broke your heart and all this stuff. The closer it is to your real life, the more you can speak on it, the more different angles you can take on it. Authenticity makes writing easier and stronger. Authenticity isn't just moral, it's practical. When you rap about what you actually know, your writing gets sharper because you know it better than anybody else. You could talk about the details, the stories, the emotions and feelings that you went through. This is how you connect and tap into the listener on a deeper level. Your lines get more specific. You naturally find details and angles other rappers don't have. Like the Drake talking about going through the girl phone. You know, that was super specific that, you know, you wouldn't hear many rappers talk about that. Nobody else has lived your exact story. That means nobody else can write it how you can. If you try to invent a persona instead, you're forcing yourself to fill space with cliches. Authentic subject matter lets you build a brand off your identity, not an act. Point 5, subject matter builds your brand over time. And this is the most important part. Brands aren't built by logos or album covers or styles of dress. They're built by repetition. When the artist keeps reinforcing the same subjects like Drake, money, loyalty, success, betrayal, fans start to label them pain rapper, street rapper, love song rapper, motivational rapper. That clarity is a weapon. You may think, oh man, it's going to put me in a box, but that's the wrong way of going about it. As an artist, as a brand, you want to be something that somebody can directly say, This is what this guy is. The mistake that a lot of new artists, I don't want to put myself in a box. You're not going to put yourself in a box. You're going to be able to be easily identified. So when a fan is looking for a certain emotion, they know to go to you for that emotion. But if all your stuff is all over the place, then we can't really hone in on who you are, what you are. There may be one song that we like, and then, it's a bunch of other songs about a bunch of other things. You're diluting the brand. The clarity is a weapon, as I said. A scattered artist with no thematic center is forgettable. A focused artist, and that's what we are by finding our subject matters, our main subject matters, and you could talk about other things, but having our main focus topics is what gives you an identity, all right? It doesn't limit your creativity. It gives it direction. Artists who don't have a center end up making random records with no identity. The most creative artists in history explored the same ideas repeatedly from different angles. Think about all of the love songs that Drake's made. Think about all of the betrayal songs Drake has made. You're not getting boxed in, you're getting understood. And that's the most important thing. You don't want no confusion on who you are as an artist. You don't want no confusion on what your brand is. If people don't know what you represent, they won't connect deeply enough to care when you do choose to experiment, when you do choose to grow outside of that. Versatility without identity looks like indecision. Once your audience knows who you are, they'll follow you into more weirder and different experiments. But first, you have to nail down who you are. Before that, versatility just confuses people. Now, I'm going to talk about two of my favorite rappers who I listen to more than anything. And I'm going to talk about their core subjects. Because it's important to figure out your core subjects. Then you have to figure out the emotional world, the way that you're going to approach these subjects. This is how you say, I want to be a love rapper, right? I want to talk about love and finding love. When you find the emotional world or the emotional approach to that subject, that's how we get into the nuance. That's how we get into the specifics, all right? So I love Babyface Ray. His core subjects are chasing money as survival, not flexing, coming up on doubters and haters, newfound success after years of being overlooked, hard work, patience, and grinding quietly, putting his people on, and street awareness without glorifying chaos. And the way that he approaches those different subjects, because a lot of street rappers talk about chasing money, coming up on haters, hard work, patience, it's generic. But the way that he approaches it is from a calm confidence. His is from a more laid back, like, I know I'm gonna get it. I always knew I would do it. And so that's how he approaches that. Vindication, not arrogance. He talks about it from us like I knew it would happen. I deserved this, and I saw it happening, and so I expected all of this, and that's where that confidence comes from. And a quiet hunger. He's not super loud. He's not gonna never yell. His is always gonna be low key. That approach to these different subjects makes what he does very specific. All right, that I told you so energy without yelling. He sounds mature, grounded, and self-assured. He sounds a little bit more, like I said, mature than the other street artists who would talk about it from just a standpoint. His is very specific. Why fans attach to Babyface Ray? He speaks for people who didn't pop overnight. He represents the late bloomer, the guy who kept working while everybody else talked. Fans connect because his success feels earned, not flashy or desperate. He doesn't scream victory, he wears it, all right? And it hits listeners who feel underestimated, who stayed consistent while doubted, believed in grinding, not clout chasing, want success without losing composure. Why his repetition works. He keeps returning to the same ideas: money, growth, doubt, patience, and that consistency builds trust. And that's why every time I get ready to go to work, or every time I'm working, I turn it on, because that's the soundtrack for that. Fans know exactly what emotional space they're stepping in when they press play. Now, another artist I love is Lil Bean. Lil Bean is an artist from California. His core subjects is getting it out the mud, doing everything on his own, loyalty, and wanting to find real love. Humble confidence, being fly without selling his soul, quietly stunting on people who doubted him. The emotional approach that he talks about is from independence, of not needing no help, doing it on his own, believing in himself, hopeful but guarded, proud without being loud, street rooted but emotionally open, because a lot of his stuff is from a street angle, but he's not afraid to talk about his emotions and how he feels. One of my favorite songs, Def Jam Vendetta, and he said something, and when I come back from the streets, girl, I need a hug too. You know, a lot of street rappers not going to say that they need a hug and everything, and that's why I love Lil Bean, because he's not afraid to speak on his emotions and how he feels. That's what makes him different from all the other artists. So usually I listen to Lil Bean after I finish work. I listen to Lil Bean when I'm riding by myself alone, not necessarily going to work, but on that grind stuff, the deeper stuff, the stuff on a deeper level. All right. Why fans attached? Lil Bean resonates with people who feel alone on their grind. No safety net, no industry push, no fake friends. His music speaks to listeners who want success but still value loyalty, authenticity, and self-respect. So what you're going to do is you're going to find what are your core subjects, all right? Let's say my core subjects would be always working. Another core subject would be shitting on the non-believers. My core subject would be womanizing, because I'm a womanizer, right? My core subject would be putting my family first. My core subject would be not trusting these niggas. All right. And how I would approach these is from a self-assured. So that's confidence. That's me being confident. So I'm talking about I'm always working because I know that that's what's going to put me ahead of these niggas. All right. Shitting on the non-believers. How else would I approach it? It'd be from an arrogant, loud way, like just shitting on motherfuckers, not giving a fuck. And that comes from, probably my anger or me wanting revenge. Mine would be a little bit spiteful, because a lot of my stuff, a lot of me grinding and working and wanting to make it is from a me wanting to shit on these motherfuckers because they ain't believe me. And so a lot of, I'm shitting on the bitches that did me wrong, that broke my heart. I'm shitting on the niggas that betrayed me, that went against the grain. You know what I'm saying? It's very hey, it is what it is. And so I would connect to somebody who probably just got through a breakup and that's finna level up their life. And so they listening to this shit on the way to the gym. They listen to this shit on the way to work. That's how we narrow down, what we're going to talk about and think about how you're going to approach it. And this is how we carve out that specific brand for ourselves. I hope this video was of value. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. What's going on out there, artists? It's your boy Coach, back with another video, back with part 3 of our 2026 rapper blueprint. And in this video, we're going to talk about creating and writing songs with moments. The reason why this is super important is because most new artists and new music discovery is going to be found via TikTok, via Instagram Reel, via YouTube Short, via these microwavable content moments. Like it or not, you could try to fight against it, but you'll get left behind. And the reason why we want to put moments in these songs is because we can build and create our content around these parts of the songs that the listener is more likely to fall in love with. The beautiful thing about creating songs with moments is a listener will sit through the whole 2 minute, 3 minutes of a song just to get to that one part. All right. And this moment becomes a hook, a main hook of your song. And I don't mean hook in the tradition of I'm getting money, 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 money. I'm getting money, money, money. I mean a special part of the song that taps into the listener's emotions. All right. So we're going to get into it, and then I'm going to show you guys how to start creating music with moments in it. In the streaming social area, people don't fall in love with songs first. They fall in love with moments inside of songs. Attention spans are shorter. Discovery happens in clips. Sharing happens in fragments. If your song doesn't contain a moment that makes someone stop, replay, quote, clip, or react, it's going to die quickly. What a moment actually is. A moment is any instantly recognizable, repeatable, or emotionally charged section of a song that stands out from everything else. That could be a beat switch, an instrumental drop, beat drop, a flow pocket, a quotable bar, a melody that sticks, an ad lib, a pause, a tone shift, a memeable line, a vocal inflection, even a mistake that sounds human. It's the part where people say, wait, run that back. Why moments matter more than full songs now? Discovery is moment-based, not song-based. Most people hear 7 seconds on TikTok, 10 seconds on Reels, a looped hook, or one viral bar. They don't decide this is a good song. They decide, man, that part was hard. Having no moment means no entry point to the music. Number 2, moments create memory. People don't remember verses all the time. They remember that one line, that beat drop, that flow he did, that part everybody quotes. Memory is built on peaks, not consistency. A flat but good song is forgettable. And that's why I told you guys, create music in waves that has waves. If you have a song that is one mood, one mode, one energy throughout, then it is flat. A flawed song with a peak gets replayed. Number 3, moments give culture something to grab onto. Culture doesn't move around whole records. It moves around phrases, screenshots, sounds, memes, reaction clips. If your music can't be excerpted, or if your music can't be clipped, if there isn't one special part of the song that you can clip and then create content around, it can't be spread. This is the mistake a lot of artists make. They try to make a complete song, a perfect song, or a technically solid song instead of asking, where is the moment in this song? That's why a lot of talented artists get ignored. Their music is cool, but nothing sticks out. Important distinction. This matters. Creating moments does not mean making gimmick music, corny TikTok bait, forcing trends. If you going into making music saying, oh man, this would be good for TikTok. Oh man, let me make a TikTok. You failed. Because you're going to be trying hard, the shit going to sound corny, instead of naturally making music the way you know how, naturally making music that is natural to you, that is that people expect from you, and then thinking, how can I add a moment to it? That's how you should go about it. It means being intentional about peaks, having a peak in the song. So say for instance, you writing a song, right? And you finish it and you listen to it. If you don't feel like there's a moment in there, or there's a part, a special part that you want to hear again, or a part where when you start the song over, you can't wait to get to that part, then there ain't no moments in the song. Moments are not optional in 2026. It's not optional. All right. If you don't think about it like this, then you're hurting the chances of somebody falling for the song. They're how the song survives. Now let's talk about how to implement this into your music. If you're already making songs, or if you're in the middle of making a song, how you could go about thinking about it. For me, typically, adding a moment comes towards the end of the song. As I finish writing a song and I'm getting ready to record, or after I've recorded the song, I start to think, how can I add something to it? How can I add a moment? Is that a sound effects clip? Is that dropping the beat out on a certain line? Is that doing a certain ad lib here or there? Is there adding something at the beginning or the ending of the song? That's how I'm thinking, how to enhance this song. Moments come from contrast, not complexity. If everything is at the same energy, nothing stands out. Moments usually happen when there's a drop after a build, silence after noise, simplicity after density, aggression after calm, honesty after flexing, melody after rapping, a switch in flow, tone, or cadence. If the song never shifts, it won't have a peak. It won't have a moment. Ask one question while you're writing. Where does this song turn at? Every great moment has a pivot, an emotional turn, which can sometimes be the beat, which can sometimes be the tone, an energy turn, a perspective turn, or a sonic turn. If the answer is nowhere, then there ain't no moment in it, and you need to find somewhere where you can put it. Is it where the beat changes? Okay, the beat changes right here. Let me maybe drop the beat out and have silence where I'm talking and then bring the beat in. Or when the beat changes here, let me change the flow drastically, change the cadence, change the tone drastically. That's how we get to adding moments into it. If the answer is nowhere, there's no moment yet. You'll know it's a moment if it passes one of these tests. And this is important. You replay the section of yourself. All right. Now, when I make songs, there's always a part where I can't wait to get to. There's always a favorite part in my song, and that is the moment. If your song does not have a part where, man, this is my favorite part, or I can't wait to get to this, then you don't have no moments. You need to go about thinking about that when you're writing. You want to show just that one part to someone. You imagine people quoting it. You imagine it looping on its own. It still hits without the rest of the song. And this is why it's super important to create moments, because, you know, we're going to be creating content. We're going to be creating videos and reels and all that. Naturally, we want to put that part of the song, the moment part of the song, into the content. So the listener is like, man, I can't wait to get to this part. If none of those are true, it's just a section, not a moment. And finally, moments don't have to be big. A moment can be one bar. It can be a word that you stretch out or say in a different way. It could be a pause. It could be a melody note or the sound of a melody, like the flute on Mask Off. That's the moment of Mask Off, is the an ad lib, one breath. Over designing kills them. So if you try to overdo it, then it dilutes the moments in the song, because there are so many moments, then it's not strong because it's all of this chaos going in, instead of being like, man, let me have one or two parts in here. So if the first one don't catch it, maybe the second one does. Clarity makes them stick. How to know if you're forcing it. If you thinking, will this go viral? If you thinking this needs to be TikTokable. And like I told y'all, going about making music like this is never a good idea. It's the same concept as, man, let me make a hit. Typically, when an artist makes a hit song, they don't go in saying, man, let me make a hit. A lot of times it starts with a good ass beat, a beat that has the potential to be a hit. That's how most, if not all, hit songs start, is with a beat that you can hear. You like, man, this shit'll go off. All right. But if you go in there saying, man, I'm gonna make a memeable song, man, I'm gonna make a TikTokable song, the shit gonna sound corny, bro. I hope this video was of value. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. What's going on out there, artists? It's your boy Coach, back with another video and another installment of our 2026 Rapper Blueprint. Today, I'm going to talk about your releases. When I say your releases, I mean your singles, your EPs, your mixtapes, and your albums. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the purpose that these different releases serve. Because a lot of new artists, they get into the game, they're like, man, I'm about to drop this EP, or man, I'm gonna put out a mixtape, and you don't even know the reason behind it. It's just because you fucking heard mixtape or you fucking heard EP and you felt like, oh man, it's time for the EP, and then you wind up not getting the results that you needed. So I'm gonna talk about the purpose of these different releases, the do's and the don'ts, and the way that you should be thinking when you're putting these out. And we're gonna start with singles, all right? A single purpose is basically for marketing. All right. We're doing it to get data. We're doing it to get information. All right. So the do's for putting out a single is to test the sound. If you're going with a new swag, a new style, a new sound, you put out this single in order to get the data on it to see if, hey, this is maybe something I should explore more. Hey, people are engaging with this. People are liking this. Hey, that's an indicator that maybe I should make more of this music, or maybe I shouldn't, lead with this type of stuff. We do it. We put out a single to trigger the algorithm. All right. We want to see if this song picks up, if it gets engagement, if it gets likes and comments and shares, if it has potential to go further, to go viral. All right. We can't get that type of data or that type of information if we're not putting out a single. All right. We also do it to pull in new listeners. Of course. Hey, how are you going to get new listeners if you're not putting out a new single? If you're not putting out a new song, how are you going to attract new fans? So, the reason I put this is because we don't put out an album to get new listeners. That's too much investment that you're asking from somebody who don't know who you are. So we put out a sample, a bite size of what we have to offer. Also, to feed DSP playlists, all right? Because if you want to get on playlists, you're not going to get them a whole album. You need a single, and you need that song that you feel is one that can potentially get more listeners, get more plays. That's why we put out a single, to get that data. If we get that data saying that, hey, people are liking this, people are fucking with it, then we know, hey, this is something that I could give to a DSP playlist, all right? Also, we put out singles to create a moment. You see a lot of artists that get out of jail, they put out the first day out single, all right? Because it becomes a timestamp, a moment in the in the artist's career, in their journey. Hey, this was the time I got out of jail. This is first day out. Or some artists of 2026 freestyle, whatever. If you wanted to create a moment, a timestamp, but hey, a marker in your career to build around, a single is a great way to do that. All right. Now, here are some don'ts to putting out singles. My number one don't to putting out a single is dropping a deep single. All right. This is what I mean. This is Jay-Z's Mama Loves Me, and it's one of his deepest songs, but it would not work as a single. For says I love this song, and this is one of my favorite Jay-Z songs. There's a reason why he didn't put this out as a single. This was the first single to Jay-Z's album, The Blueprint.
My nizzle used to dribble down in VA, was hurting them in the home of the turbans.
All right, when this song first came out and people heard the Michael Jackson sample, it was like, oh snap, Jay-Z going in a whole new direction. We'd never heard Jay-Z, on a track like this. Also, it was up tempo. Also, it had crazy flows in it. Also, it had a great hook to it. All of these things helped, even the casual person who wasn't a big Jay-Z fan, or, didn't give a damn about Jay-Z, kind of get into him, because, hey, it had the beat, it had the hook, it had the flows, it had things that would catch a casual listener. So dropping a deep single, in my opinion, especially when you're a new artist, is not a good idea. All right. Another thing, don't drop 10 singles with no strategy. You just putting out songs. And yes, some people may say, hey, coach, but I got to see what people are liking. I got to see. But the thing is, none of those songs are going to work if you don't have a strategy with content or how you're going to push it. For example, there's this artist that I fell in love with on Facebook. He has this song, and you go on his Facebook page and he has like 15 different videos, 15 different pieces of content for this one song. On one of them, he's playing his guitar and he's singing it a cappella. On another one, you see a clip from the video. On another one, he's got the guy with the little fucking ukulele playing the melody, and he's singing it over. He has a strategy behind that single. He's not, oh, let me put out this single, now let me put out another. No, he's developing that single. He has a strategy for it. All right. Dropping album cuts as singles. This goes back to dropping the deep songs. All right. In my opinion, and from what I've seen, typically the artist is going to put out the hardest song as their single to draw people in. Putting in the album cut that may be a little more low key, may be a little, just more vibey. In my opinion, I feel like that's not the best way to lead, unless that's just your whole style of making music. Then that's a different thing. But if you got something that's up tempo, if you got something with a hard beat, if you got something with crazy flows, with a catchy hook, or with a dope chorus, in my opinion, that is the one that is going to have more success than the album cut is. And dropping singles with no visual or no content. And it goes back to the example I said about the guy. He had visuals, he had content to support this single. So if this piece of content for this song didn't pop off, okay, for the same song, I'm gonna make a different piece of content. For the same song, I'm gonna make another piece of content, and I'm gonna make a different piece of content, but for this song. And you see, different pieces of content for that song have different levels of engagement. Some of them have 100,000 likes. Some of them have only 6,000 likes. But he had a strategy with content for this single, and that's why it was able to catch on. That's why it came across my algorithm. All right. Now let's talk about mixtapes. The purpose of mixtapes is identity and volume. All right. And when I say volume, it is basically, okay, you have people that like your single. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go and try to find more music that is similar to that to see if they want to become a fan of you. That's why we have the mixtape. The mixtapes are low risk and high output tools. Meaning, hey, if somebody wants it, here's a collection of songs. If you want to dive deeper into my music, I got a collection of songs that you can listen to, that you can see if you want to become a fan of me. And it's low risk, because calling something an album is a statement, but a mixtape, it gives kind of the album feel without the seriousness of it, without the high risk of, oh man, this album flopped or this album went shit. Also, you're able to take more chances, more risk, and do different things with this. Other than the album, you kind of want to be more cohesive, all right? But also what a mixtape does is it gives the identity. Over the course of all of these tracks, the listener starts to understand what your identity is as a person and as an artist, all right? Now, mixtapes exist to experiment. If you want to try different things, if you want to try different sounds, different tempos, different styles and everything, a mixtape is a great place to do it, because like I said, it's low risk. All right. Nobody's going to fault you if your mixtape was trash, but if your album was trash, that's a totally different thing. You can dump ideas. You could do the freestyle. You could do the reggae song. You could do the melodic auto-tune song. You could do the conscious song. You can do all of these different things because it's a mixtape. It's a mixture of different styles. Okay, you can do it to build a cult audience, because if that particular mixtape is really good, people are going to remember that moment in your career. People are going to remember, man, this was the moment I fell in love with him. Man, ain't nothing. It's like J. Cole's Friday Night Lights. He has a cult fan base. He built a cult fan base basically around that mixtape, because it wasn't an album, but it felt like an album. It had the quality of an album. And this was the launch pad to the J. Cole career. We train consistency with mixtapes, meaning, hey, over the course of, let's say, for instance, our example would be a 10 song mixtape. All right. We train consistency by, hey, is there a level of consistency between all of these songs, a certain level of quality to all of these songs? If we can create a certain bar of excellence and either meet that bar or exceed that bar, then we've created consistency within the listener's mind, and the listener has confidence in you, like, hey man, this guy really is consistent. This guy really does this, because I've listened to multiple songs on a project and all of them are good, even if I don't like all of them. We do it to sharpen instincts. All right. Basically, when I say sharpen instincts, as we say, for instance, have the goal or the idea, like, hey, I'm gonna make a mixtape. As we're making that mixtapes, we're keeping in mind all of these other songs. We're keeping in mind all of these other sounds. We're keeping in mind all of these other things, and we're thinking, hey, I got this type of song. Now let me have this type of song. Oh, I already got this type of song. I don't want to make two of these songs. I don't want to. This trains you further for when you get to make that EP or you get to make that LP. You understand how to put a cohesive or how to put a project together. All right. A mixtape is where an artist becomes themselves. All right. Now, here are some don'ts to dropping mixtapes. Do not treat mixtapes like albums, meaning you are free to experiment. You can do a lot of different things. You don't have to feel like you have to stay with one theme. You don't feel like you have to stay with one idea. All right. That is for the album. That is the difference between the two. All right. You don't have to overthink concepts, because I said a mixtape is low risk. You don't have that pressure of having to make sure that this thing feels and sounds like a complete album. It's a mixtape. It's a mixture of different swags, different sounds, different styles, different tempos. All right. Don't spend album money on mixtapes. All right. Because an album, you want that to sound high quality. You want to go to the studio. You want to get the engineer. You want to get the automation and everything. But with the mixtape, hey, it's a plus, it's a bonus if the quality is super high, but you don't have to have that pressure on you to feel like, man, I got to spend all this money on all these beats. I got to buy the exclusive of the beat. I got to go pay all this money for the engineer. I would save that money. I would save that investment for an album. And you understand why when we get to the albums. And don't expect mainstream results, because it is a mixtape. One of my favorite new artists, Belly Gang Cushington, he put out a mixtape, and in the mixtape, he had a couple singles, you know, that he was hoping to pop off, and one of them really popped off. The like your friend do, throw it, you know. But he wasn't expecting this to be the album to blow him up, you know. He dropped the album, the single got hot, and you know, other viral things and other videos, they all helped and contributed to him blowing up. But when he put it out, he was just putting out like, hey man, let me give the folks that enjoy a song or enjoy a freestyle from me, let me give them something so they can basically eat up. You know, let me give them multiple songs so if they want to dive into me, pause, then they have something. But this isn't my album. I'm not expecting it to chart. I'm not expecting it to go #1. I'm not expecting it to be on the charts for 40, 50 weeks and everything. It's just a mixtape. It's low risk, all right? Mixtape are reps in the gym. Nobody's grading your form, just whether you're getting stronger. All right. Now let's talk about EPs, because people's purpose of dropping an EP is really the purpose you should be dropping a mixtape for. All right. People say, man, I'm gonna drop an EP because I don't want to do the album, but I still want to give them a project. So I'll give them a couple songs and call it an EP. That just sounds like you're very unintentional about going about it. So let's break down EPs. EPs are for positioning and transition. All right. This is why you don't see Drake or Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole or Jay-Z dropping a bunch of EPs. If any, you rarely see them dropping EPs, right? EPs are misunderstood as mini albums. They're not. EPs exist to introduce a new era. EPs exist to test a refined sound, to bridge old fans to a new direction, to rebrand without committing fully. Now you understand why I said it's for transitioning or positioning. Say for instance, you're going in a new direction with your style, or you're going in a new direction with your content. We put out the EP to say, hey, this is where I'm going. So my next project that you can expect from me is going to be more in this vein, versus dropping an album that is a totally different direction, a different style, a different swag and everything, and catching people off guard. No, the EP is like, hey, I'm letting you know this is where I'm at with it. This is where I'm going. So expect to hear this. Expect to see this from me in the future. All right. We think of EPs as controlled experiments. With all of this, we're getting data. But when we drop an EP, we see, hey, is this new direction? Are people feeling it? Before I give them a whole album, let me see if they feeling this from a small sample size, and they are. That confirms, hey, I should go in this direction. Hey, this is working. Like I said, too many artists put out EPs because they don't want to put out an album. They don't want to call their shit mixtape. So they say, man, I got these 4 or 5 songs, and you don't get the results that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because you just gave us basically what you could have gave us from singles. You gave us basically what you could have gave us from a mixtape, a short mixtape, and you called it an EP. All right. Here are some don'ts for EPs. Don't dump leftovers and call it an EP, because it's just going to be a trash piece of it's going to be not remembered. It's not going to be loved by your fans, and it's going to be low quality. It's just a low quality collection of songs when it could have just been a mixtape. All right. Don't release EPs with no narrative. This goes back to positioning and transitioning. When we drop EPs, we're letting the listener know this is a new direction. This is a new direction. And so with that, a lot of times comes a semi rebrand, you know, not completely changing your name and completely changing who you are, but it may be, say for instance, I've been this conscious rapper, right? And you know, I've been on my Hotep shit. I have my dreads and everything. I have my you know, and I'm talking about conscious shit, but I want to go in the new direction where I'm talking about relationships and love and everything. So in this one, I may cut my dreads. I may have all of my pictures and visual stuff in red, and you see red everywhere and everything. This is a new narrative for me. And so let me drop an EP to let you know which direction I'm going. All right. We use the EPs as a tool. You're supposed to use it as a tool. All right. Don't treat EPs like albums, but shorter. All right, and that goes back to, man, I don't want to drop an album yet, so I'm gonna give them, because the thing is you could have just not been lazy, or you could have just, made more songs in that vein, or made more songs that are cohesive with those 4 or 5 songs you're doing in the EP, and then just drop the fucking album. You know what I'm saying? When you do that and you drop an EP, you're almost shortchanging yourself. You're shortchanging the listeners' expectation, because you let them know, hey, this is not as serious as an album. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of artists hurt themselves with the EP thing. All right. The EP is to say, this is where I'm going next. All right. Now let's talk about LPs or albums. The purpose of an album is for legacy. Is to be that stamp, that moment in your career, that big moment. Not like a single, but like, hey, this is where I'm at this current time in my life. This is a statement I'm putting out. All right. We do it for high investment, meaning, hey, when somebody really loves you or somebody likes your music, this is for those people. These are for the people that are highly invested in your music. They like the singles. They like the mixtape, or, even if you didn't drop a mixtape, they like the singles. And you want to give them something like, hey, this is me polished, high definition. This is me putting all my effort into a project. This is for the high investment people. And the most important thing for albums is for monetization. All right. When we put out an album, man, hey, we want to maybe have some merch behind it. We want to maybe sell it direct to consumer. We might want to have some physical copies, some vinyl, some shit that we can sign and mail off to the listener. When we ready to monetize and really ready to make some change, make some money from this shit, you drop an album and you have other things with it that you can sell, so you can really bring in the money. Albums exist to reward existing fans. Albums exist to tell a complete story. Think of Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City. Think of Drake's Take Care. Think of J. Cole's Forest Hill Drive. We do it to lock in an era. All right. The era of Good Kid, Mad City was Kendrick Lamar introducing us to, hey, this is my life from me growing up all the way to this point. This is an era. And when I do To Pimp a Butterfly, this is another era where I'm on my jazz shit, I'm on my political shit, and Damn was another era. You notice how album from artists are different eras for those artists. So when you want to encapsulate an era of your career, of your journey, that is the purpose of an album. We do an album to sell tickets, merch, and bundles, as I said before. You got people that are highly invested in your music. Hey, let me drop the album with a t-shirt. You buy the digital album, you get the t-shirt. Or you buy the $25 t-shirt, you get the digital album download for free. Artists are doing this to make money. Now that artists are going direct to consumer, a album is a great way to bring in money. All right. We drop albums to cement our brand identity. This is who I am right now in 2026. Let me drop this album. Who I am in 2028, when I drop that album, is going to be a totally different person. But these albums serve as milestones versus the EP, versus the mixtape, versus the singles here and there. All right. Albums are expensive in every sense, and we got to be real with that. And that's why some artists don't be ready for albums. Just put out a mixtape. Albums cost time. Albums cost energy. They cost attention. They cost risk. Because with time, hey, if you have an idea that I'm going to make an album and I got this song, hey, we want to lock in on this. We want to spend our time and our energy and our attention on this. Not worrying about the single here, not worrying about the video here and all that. Yes, that stuff comes, but let's focus on getting this album right. This statement, making sure it's cohesive, making sure I can perfect it to the best of my ability. Here are some don'ts when dropping an album. Don't drop an album with no audience. If you don't have no fucking audience, just put out a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the mixtape is low investment and high output, where, hey, if people like the music and I'm not quite ready, let me still have a project with a collection of songs that they can dive into. Don't use albums to get on. Back in the day, this used to be more popular, where an artist would put out an album, and that album would help, launch the artist's career. Like, man, this classic album. I'm trying to think of an artist who did that. I can't think of one right now. uh expect albums to save bad marketing. All right. If your marketing is trash, don't think, man, I need to put out an album. That's why my shit ain't working because I'm an album artist. I need to put out an album. No, you need to fix the marketing first. All right. Because when you put the album out, the marketing for the album is going to be trash. And don't drop albums every year with no growth, because what happens is you sound stagnant. People feel like you're not growing. That's kind of the baby thing, where the baby kept dropping albums and it was no growth. It was the same sound. It was the same shit. The same thing with Polo G. He kept dropping albums, but it was no growth. And so people got tired of it. Albums don't create fans. They monetize and reward the fans you've already earned through your singles, your mixtapes, and your EP. Singles are used to bring people in. Mixtapes turn listeners into fans. EPs redefine a direction. And albums cash in and cement identity. And this is why most artists fail. They start with albums, they skip mixtapes, they use singles emotionally, they treat EPs like leftovers, and they confuse output with progress. Meaning, starting with albums, like I said, hey man, why you gonna start with an album, start with this cohesive project, and nobody's invested in you yet? You're gonna waste money and waste time on something. No, put out mixtapes, put out singles, build that fan base that wants the album. Skipping mixtapes, all right? You feel like, hey man, I'm too good for a mixtape. Man, think about it, bro. If you dope and you make dope music and you're not ready for an album, imagine if you got this project, this mixtape, and it's got the usual songs you make, but then you might throw in a freestyle over a classic beat. You might throw in this song over a sample that everybody knows that, you probably couldn't use for your album because you got to get the sample cleared. That's why So Far Gone was a mixtape. And a lot of those beats in So Far Gone, the November 18th, that was the June 27th beat. And it was so dope because, I wouldn't expect that to be on a Drake album. When you hear Drake album, you don't hear him going over classic beats. On fucking So Far Gone, he went over on the Say You Will beat from Kanye West. Mixtapes, you can be a lot more experimental. You can have a lot more fun. You can do a lot of different things. And that's why, I don't understand why artists don't make mixtapes, because you have that freedom to do all of this stuff and create cult classic songs on other people's beats. You use singles emotionally. All right. A lot of times what you'll see is the song that you think is a single ain't the song that people like. People like this other song. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it came a time where rappers was like, man, I put the album out and I let the fans determine what's the single. Whatever song takes off, get the most streaming, that's the one we promote as the single. Right now, that's not where you guys are. So in my opinion, I would say if you're putting out a single, put out something that you feel like is going to grab the most uninvested listeners. Put out the single that hey man, this shit got a heartbeat, it got a hook, it got the flows, it got the stuff that'll grab the most casual listener, instead of something super deep where somebody gotta fuck with you in order to even give it time. Because if Jay-Z was a new artist, he put out Mama Love Me, the casual person scrolling, they scroll right past that shit because it's too deep. It's not something like, man, that's attention grabbing. Put something that's gonna grab somebody's attention. All right. Treating EPs like leftovers. Just put out a fucking mixtape. All right. Stop treating EPs like they are just this natural part of your career. Because I see too many artists, they got 4 or 5 fucking EPs. Like, in my opinion, that's so dumb. When you could have kept those songs, made some better songs, and put it out as a mixtape. Or kept those songs, made some better songs to go with it, and put it out as an album. And don't confuse output with progress. And what I mean is, you could put out 10 albums in a year. And you mistakenly think, man, I'm moving in my career, man. I put out 10 albums. But from those 10 albums, how many fans have you gained? Are you gaining fans with each fucking album? I hope this video was of value. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.